Hello and welcome, one and all. Welcome back to Dark Library, and today we are discussing episode 10 of Kamen Rider Saber, Crossing Swords and Crossing Feelings. So, sorry about that. I feel like I should make a Sword Art Online joke, considering the original OP song was called Crossing Field, but I'm not. I just made a reference to it. Anyway, let's go over what happened in the episode and give general thoughts. So, we start off with Tassel acting strange. He's mentioning the Sword of Darkness and how Caliber has all this power. And he also mentions that the Sword of Darkness, Kuroyami, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, I'm sorry, is one of the first two swords ever created. Of the sacred swords ever created. Now, considering the fact that each sword is tied to an element, I'm wondering if the other original sword was either the Sword of Light, or if it was in fact the Sword of Fire. Either one would work, especially if we get a light-themed rider sometime later down the line, considering the fact that we seem to be going over the elements in terms of our riders for this season. I mean, just our main three are Fire, Water, and Thunder. No basic three elements. Well, normally Thunder is grass, and then we have a Pokemon joke, but, we're just leaving that aside. And then we have Earth with with Buster, Green with Kanzon. Green is Wind in this case. Sound is a strange element with Slash, but it still can be an element. There are sound-based spells in D&D and whatnot, and then we have Darkness with Caliber. So I wonder if we're gonna get a Saber of plants, or a rider of plant life and a rider of light sometime in the near future for the series, considering the fact that we are almost at the next phase of the series, at least in terms of toy sales. Anyway, so basically the biggest episode proper, minus the tassel intro, starts off with basically everyone sitting around trying to figure out what Caliber's deal is, which is the third time that they've done this. It feels very repetitive. I mean, it's warranted, but they didn't do this with they didn't do this with Gem back in X-Aid. They just kept calling him Black X-Aid. Yes, this entire setup reminds me a lot of X-Aid. I mean, obviously. Anyway, everyone's trying to figure out what Caliber's deal is. They actually do make some headway with the whole Caliber scenario by figuring out, at least in a little bit, his fighting style. Basically, Rentaro makes a comment about how the sword seems to be doing something to their attacks, making their attacks useless, at least their long-range attacks. Then Toma makes a discovery. Wait a second. Maybe it looks like the sword's absorbing our attacks, and maybe he can only absorb so much before it just overrides him. Because you know what happened last episode, where he used the duck Megiddo as a cover to prevent him from taking a hit from Toma's finisher. So they make some progress in that regard. Anyway, we then cut to the Megiddo, speaking of, and they're sitting around with basically examining the books that they captured last week, and basically say, hey, this ain't enough power, you need to do some more shit to gain more power. And so, Caliber goes off to do just that, basically using another Megiddo as a tool to draw out the rider so he can fight them again and steal their power. At least drain some more of their power. Again, you see how this feels a lot like Gem's origin in X-Aid. How Gem had to keep fighting all the X-Aid riders over and over again to get more data so he could perfect Dangerous Zombie. This feels very much like that. Am I the only one seeing this? Especially because he gets a power up from doing this. Again, it's like Dangerous Zombie all over again. Anyway, Caliber, the Duck Megiddo goes out and causes some shit to go down. But we're skipping ahead a bit. The surviving Duck Megiddo, the one that could turn invisible, survived last week and is back again to basically be the Mook of the week. But we are skipping ahead of ourselves because while everyone's sitting around Toma's shop, which never seems to have any customers, the mysterious mystery woman, whose name is Reika, shows up, introduced by May, who I don't think she says her name in this episode. Anyway, introduced via May, who basically says that she's there for Kento. She hands Kento the Cerberus Wonder Ride book to basically finish off his Wonder combo should they'll get Needle Hedgehog back, which, spoiler, he does in this episode. So he can match power with Caliber. For as a fat little good, that does him in only one episode. So, she hands him that book, and we also get some bit more lore, where it's revealed that there's a southern base. Yeah, so it turns out Source Logos has two bases, or at least two main bases, whatever main bases mean. The North Pole base, which we're familiar with, and a base in the South Pole, the southern base, which Rentaro also drops. There are other swordsmen there, which means that our next wave of riders and our power-ups will most likely be coming from the southern branch. And then there is an Avatar joke in here somewhere about the northern and southern water tribes, but I'm just going to leave that aside. Especially funny that this is being said by the water guy. Anyway, Kento goes off in a huff about his dad. Again, he just does this. It was just like the fourth time he's done this in the series. Yeah, I know he hasn't really done that much. He has very sporadic appearances. But he focused on the whole "my dad betrayed us" thing quite a lot for someone who's trying to be over it. And has had at least two moments where he's supposed to be over it, at least somewhat, to be more functional and not basically make this shut him down like it keeps doing. Kento does that. But Rentaro and Toma come up and basically give him a friendship speech, and then they have a Three Musketeers moment where they cross swords and swear to finish this story, fight Caliber, and be good friends all along the way. Then there's a funny moment, at least slightly funny, kind of sad, from May's character, where May mentions that, hey guys, I'm here, because she's the one who starts the exchange, and then Toma's like, oh right, the four of us. Because, May is there, even though she doesn't have a sword and she can't fight, and she really doesn't do anything. Which I feel is sad, because I honestly like May's character. Obviously the show is focusing on a trio of, Toma, Rentaro, and Kento. But their personalities are kind of similar in a way. I mean, maybe when Kento's over the whole daddy issues thing, he can be a bit more of a dynamic character. But Rentaro's a soft-spoken soft boy. Kento is a brooding soft boy. And Toma is... he's kind of a mix of a brooding soft boy and a quiet soft boy. They're all soft boys, basically. But May brings this energy to the trio that just breaks up the dynamic. And lets all kinds of fun stuff happen, and I'm really sad that she really is relegated to such a back burner role, because this is it's not a perfect foursome, there's a terrible joke in there somewhere, but it's a really decent, characters, at least four set of characters. It's sort of like how Buster and Kienzan are when they're with the others. They add the energy to the soft boys. A bit of Slash too, even though most of his is just silently sitting in the background. But, when Buster and Kienzan aren't there, May brings the energy. And yes, she brings energy, but she also doesn't do anything else. And that's really sad, because she brings a lot of good energy to the show, at least in my personal opinion. And the sad, and the moments where it's just them standing around and talking. Again, sad about that. Then they take off and leave May behind after her book glows and tells them that the Megado are attacking. And then she makes a crack about it, which, again, is really sad, because I like May's character. She brings the energy. It's a Doug Megado again, and it transforms. Basically, it combines the power of all of its siblings and gets a much better voice into one form, so it can fight. And then Caliber shows up on cue, because, that's basically been the plot structure for the past, 5 or 6 episodes. Megado attack, and then Caliber shows up. Caliber fights the group, and then Slash shows up to basically be like, hey guys, take care of Caliber, I'll handle the Megado. And then they break up to do their 3-on-1 and 1-on-1 fight. Slash handles the Megado pretty well. I mean, he probably has the experience from fighting the others last week. And it's really, honestly, the Saber blades and the Spada fight against Caliber is really, really cool. It starts off with them, trying to basically not working well together, and then Saber and then Tomo's like, hey guys, we need to actually coordinate our fucking attacks so we can actually beat this guy. And then he uses Journey to the West in in his half suit, not like the full Trinity. And it's a really cool fight. And then they managed to get the right books back. And I'm not describing the fight very well because it's one of those fights you really have to watch. And then they're pretty clever with how they do their things, and it's really shot very well. It's a really, really cool fight, guys. I'm gonna say that a lot. I also want to say that Reika, the woman from the Southern Logos tribe, she's watching the fight from the window because they're in the warehouse. They're in the standard toy fight warehouse, which isn't bad. I do like the fight warehouse. A lot of good scenes happen in said fight warehouse. I think back to Build, for example, with the Hazard Trigger. So yeah, they're in the fight warehouse. And, she's watching from the outside of it. And, things are going great. And then, interestingly enough, I didn't know Espada could summon the genie out of his right book to do anything. Because, it grabs Caliber and lets him get Needle Hedgehog back. Before that, Rentaro had managed to get Peter, the Pegasus book back. And then all three of them use all three Wonder combos at once, and it's amazing. It's a really cool fight. They use the OP. They did the anime thing where they use the OP in the fight, and it's a really good thing. And Caliber does try to hold his own. He does pretty good for a 3-on-1 against three dudes who are using their complete forms. It's not their final forms, but it's a good mid-season power up. He does pretty good against that, but it all comes down to a blade clash because obviously. Where they're all pushing him back, and his sword's absorbing the energy from their attacks into it. He's trying to hold his own, pushing them back. And then the altar book finishes and forms into a power up for Caliber, which that was Caliber's goal. But again, I wonder why, especially from what we find out. Spoiler alert: this Caliber is not Hayato Fukuyami. It is, in fact, Daichi Kamijo, the previous Kamen Rider Saber. Interestingly enough, when the other three are about on the verge of winning or potentially tying, I think it's Storios. Storios pops in, blasts the group, and pushes them all back. He also blasts Caliber, which I think shows some sign of how their alliance with each other works. I'm not sure, but they all get pushed back. And then it's revealed who Caliber is. It's Daichi. So it's revealed that this is Daichi, and that 15 years ago, he somehow lost the power of Saber, and then stole the power of Caliber from Hayato, potentially killing him in the process. We don't know if he's dead or alive. Most likely dead, considering the fact that we only have him in flashback scenes, and nothing credited as of yet. Anyway, of course, this gives Kento even more daddy issues. It's like you just went from thinking, my dad betrayed us, and I was like, you killed my father, you bastard! And it's like, God damn it, dude, pick a lane and stay in it. I mean, yeah, his whole arc so far was him trying to relegate his feelings between the affection love he feels from his father, from, being raised by the dude, and an assumingly affectionate and gentle way. Not gentle, there's another word for it, I forget what it is. Basically, he's basically been raised as a good kid by a good dad, and then having that dad suddenly turn evil and betray his friends and family. Didn't mean that was his character until now. Then he finds out, oh wait, my dad didn't betray us. Some asshole killed my dad, made me think for 15 years my dad was an asshole, that I'm gonna have to murder the fuck out of this guy. Which, again, it's a consistent character progression. It does feel like he's switched at the flip of a hat, but still. Anyway, so Daichi basically explains, he explains nothing. He just explains that 15 years ago, I stole Caliber's power, lost my power, and I'm trying to get my power back on the way to unlock even more power. For what purposes? I don't know. We don't know. There's a lot of stuff we don't know. Anyway, obviously Kento tries to go on for the kill, and is pushed back by Caliber's sheer power, as Caliber just leaves. He transforms and leaves. So, that was kind of disappointing. Obviously it was the end of the episode, so there wanted to be another fight. But now Kento's in rage mode, and on the revenge quest. And so I didn't mention this earlier because I'm a little confused on this plot point. Like, apparently we didn't know the full extent of Toma's amnesia because he just remembered playing with a boy along with the mysterious girl from his childhood and didn't know that boy was Kento. But he does remember playing with Kento when he was a kid. So, was that part of his memory exclusively just cut out or something? It feels really selective. It's like they want the mystery to still be there, but also want the childhood friend dynamic. It feels like it's selectively cutting out memories. Anyway, he suddenly remembers at the end when Kento mentions that Caliber, at least the original Caliber, is his dad, that Kento was the boy he used to play with as a kid when he was playing with the mystery girl, and kind of wants to ask Kento for answers, but Kento walks off in a huff because he's in rage mode. Which, spoiler alert, continues into next episode as I think he's triggered the death flag. Like, look, we're almost at the Christmas episode, and typically that's when shit goes down. And with a series with 7 writers so far, and a room, and I have to add the post-movie writer in somewhere, someone has to die. And obviously, it's probably going to be Caliber too, just to add another villain, especially considering the fact that he seems to be a pawn for the Megiddo. Again, we don't know how this relationship works. He's not in charge of the group. We know that for sure right now. It's either gonna be I want to say, but I really don't want to say it. But it's either gonna be Buster, or right now it feels like it could be Espada. Now I keep saying potentially Buster could die because he's a dad and Kamen Rider. He's a good dad and Kamen Rider. He's a good dad that isn't evil in a Kamen Rider show, and he also can henshin. That's like 4 different death flags right there. 5 if you count the fact that this is a serious edition. And Kento raised his by being stuck in rage mode and pushing his friends away. So, someone's gonna die around Christmas, and it's probably gonna be one of those 3. Or at least 2 of them, because I imagine they're going to have to kill Caliber to replace him with a new villain for the next arc of the series. Yeah. Also, Reika is sketchy as shit. Like, if this was Among Us, she'd be completely sus. Anyway, yeah. So, I'm imagining that the Southern Branch is gonna be a lot trickier than the Southern Water Tribe, or in this case, reversing it and making the Northern Water Tribe. Again, she might have some other goals. We don't know because they don't even say this woman's name in this episode. Yeah. Overall, the episode by itself was pretty cool. In terms of the overarching arc of the show, it had some nice progression, which, thank fucking God. But it also added in another layer of mystery, which, honestly, for a good mystery, that's what any answer is supposed to do. In a good mystery, an answer is supposed to answer some things and then give you like 10 more questions. And this definitely did that. So we need further clarification on the incident from 15 years ago. What happened to Hayato? What exactly Caliber's goal still is, because now he has power. What does he want to do with it? And yeah, what's up with Reika? So those are our main mysteries right now. What's up with Reika? What are the Megiddo up to? Also looks like next episode they're going to do another all-out attack. So, what's this, like the 3rd one that they've done so far? Seriously, these guys keep going all out so many times. Anyway, so as far as series mysteries go, we have what's up with Reika, what's Caliber's deal, or at least what's Daichi's deal, what does he want to do with all that power, what the hell the Megiddo are even doing at this point, and what's up with Sophia, because she keeps calling these guys by their rider names, and it kind of feels like she's trying to distance herself from them in a way. Maybe the twist says Caliber was a good guy the whole time, and we don't know. We'll probably be finding out next episode, because again, Caliber has achieved his goal, at least his main goal so far, which was to achieve great power by finishing the Alter Ride book and getting his new tension device. So, yeah. That's it for this episode. Ultimately a pretty fine one. A nice staple of the series around episode 10. And yeah. Oh, I also want to mention this now because I probably won't have a chance to mention it ever. But the villain for the Kamen Rider movie, Kamen Rider Saber the movie, which is the first movie because every season gets at least like 2 movies, and this is technically their crossover movie. Although they might scrap that in the future, considering. Anyway, this is Kamen Rider Falchion. Yeah, I don't have him up on screen for obvious reasons because Toei likes to strike down scans. But yeah, Kamen Rider Falchion is the name of the villain, played by, surprisingly, an actor I'm familiar with for once, instead of some person I don't understand because I'm not from Japan. He is the actor who played Kamen Rider Alpha in Kamen Rider Amazons. Like, I probably already know that anyone who's watching this video probably knows that, but for people who don't know, there's a little tidbit. You have a veteran Kamen Rider actor returning to play. I mean, Alpha really wasn't a villain in that series because it really wasn't a villain in Amazons. Everyone was a villain in Amazons. Well, basically he's playing another antagonist in Kamen Rider Falchion, which I do like the fact it's called Kamen Rider Falchion, and I can make Fire Emblem jokes, but this suit really looks like Burning Eagle. Anyone else see Burning Eagle in this suit? Just when I first saw it, I thought that was a Burning Eagle recolor. And that will be it for this episode. This went on quite a while, surprisingly. So, yeah. Saber has its ups and downs so far, but I really enjoyed this episode, and it brought what I mainly wanted from Kamen Rider, which was some pretty good story and some really good fights. And the story's still pretty good, and the fights are really, really good. So, yeah. I'll see all of you guys next time.